Hey, what's left of Blind Light? I can't even access my Blind Light account, this account right here. It's my brand account of what was the J. Segura account, which was terminated. They didn't even send me a goodbye letter. Jews treat Goyim like garbage, and as long as they're useful to Jews, they'll tolerate their existence, but they don't owe them explanations. Um, they don't have to treat them like they would other Jews. And that's the way I've always felt. If they flagged a video, they never offered me a good reason why it was flagged. How saying beware of the true enemy we need to fight is problematic. It's a vague statement. That was the cause of two of the flags. I'm going to assume, since these flags all began when V.K. Clark got annoyed with me recently, and I just decided they sort of happened in a sort of controlled fashion. Instead of like just finding 3 videos to flag, whoever it is, flagged one video every 4 to 6 weeks. I didn't count the exact time in between, but there was about a month in between each flag. And the second flag was on a video I put out 3 months ago. So the person simply went through all my videos and looked for something that they would know would work. What they found was I have a habit of using the phrase, the true enemy. It's a quick way to say all these other things like Islam and stuff like that is still part of your one problem, which is the true enemy problem, which is the Jewish problem. So it's a quick way to try and get my audience, which is taught to worry about every little thing, worry about women that are not properly submissive, about Islam, where all the provocateur groups that have probably been trained by intelligence operations from Western European countries are associated with Islam. I know a lot of good Islamic people that I've met in Atlanta. I have no reason to think that ordinary people in Islam are all that much different than ordinary people in Europe, but part of the white religion says that white people are unique. It sort of borrows a lot of stuff from the Jews who believe they're the chosen people. Well, the whites got sold a bill of goods that they conquered the world, right, through colonialism. So they totally bought that when it was actually the Jewish money that got the white mercenaries to go to North America and start sending corn and tobacco and all that kind of shit back to Europe so the rich people could make money. That's why America was born in its present fashion. They found it convenient to have a year-round colony there, and that's why it metamorphosized into basically a nation state. Controlled by the banker elites, as you recall. The first Constitution of the United States had a national bank, had a Jewish-controlled national bank. The second, the War of 1812 was over that national bank. The Jews won, England lost. England represented by a king who was a puppet to Jewish bankers. So they needed the bank, the colonies, if they were going to be independent of England, to be under a Jewish bank. So in 1832, when Andrew Jackson took over, that was actually probably might have been, I'm not an expert on history, but that might have been our closest to being free and independent was between 1830 and the Civil War, which was another instigated banker war. They set up economic conditions to have the North backbiting the South and the South complaining about what the North was doing and whatever. And then, of course, in 1860, the states had voluntarily joined together in 1790. So it was not automatic that states dissatisfied with the situation as is couldn't form their own state. That wasn't set in stone. The North could have just let them go. So why did Lincoln feel obligated to keep the South in the fold? What was wanted was simply a war. Jews get more power quickly through war. More changes happen through war. After the Civil War, there have been a whole lot of videos pointing to the amendments pushed through that, Washington, D.C. was made a separate entity from the United States, basically a banker area, like the City of London and the Vatican. And of course, that was the intermediary step. They killed Lincoln, who had basically, instead of borrowing from English bankers to fund the war, they funded their war through creation of what they call greenbacks. So, assuming believed history is true that Lincoln was killed the way as described, obviously John Wilkes Booth, who was Jewish, probably was an agent of the Rothschilds in some fashion. The Rothschilds were agents of Judaism. That's what has to be clear to people. The Rothschilds alone can't do it. They have to have a structure, supporting structure. The Rothschilds funded communism, the communist takeovers. They had to have a structure, which was the ordinary Jews that were communists, to back, to do their bidding, to do the takeover exercises. But this is why you have the rich bankers funding things that you would think would be not conducive to people that believe in capitalism. What they don't know is capitalism as set up by Judaism with the invention of the English central bank and England becoming the world power. I mean, why do you think the Industrial Revolution happened right after the English central bank was set up in the 1700s? Why do you think people figured out a way to have railroads crisscross the continents? There was no reason why that couldn't have happened before, but there needed to be a financial interest that wanted to dominate all areas of life. And when you have the commodities moved by the railroads controlled only by a few entities, the railroads can set the price. Go read Jack London's book, Burning Daylight. He talks about this a lot, where the little winemakers at the bottom, they get a fluctuating price that just barely keeps them subsistent. And it's always, it changes as the climate changes. It's more if it needs to be more, it's less if they can get away with less. And it just keeps the first guy barely surviving. That's intentional. This is all connected to the Jew corporate, Jew world order apparatus. This is why when somebody invented a plane, financial interests got together and backed it to where it soon we had a whole industry of people flying around the world. And look at what happened to the basically unknown guy who invented free electricity. The people that had pay your way electricity that needed oil never allowed it to see the light of day to let the people know this was available to them. And I wish I could remember his name. I'm sure most of you guys know what I'm talking about. Supposedly killed by the Bushes in 1940, if you want to believe a disinformation guy. He's always saying that the elites are about to fall. Can't remember his name. But he wrote this thing about the Bush, where the Bush were really German agents that snuck into America to subvert America. And this also presupposes the Fourth World Reich is the New World Order. Great idea for Jews to get the Goyim to believe. And I was on board with that before I totally got my Jew-wise glasses put on. But I no longer can access my Joe Segura account, which means I'm in my Blindlight account. I can't access my Blindlight accounts on my phones because it's not in its memory. And when I try to get to my joesegura@gmail.com account, which is associated with my band account, that's also my brand account email address. And if it's not already in the memory foam, I can't access it at all through that. So if I'm on the road and I make an email, unless I go home and transfer it to a computer, I've got it in my computers where I can access that. I'm still able to access my Blindlight.org account, but on my phones I can't. So anything I make on the phones will have to be done through Jew-wise missionary. Now this is assuming I'm going to continue even staying on YouTube. To be honest, when I was a little bit downhearted when I saw my account got banned, but it would have hurt a lot worse a couple of months ago. Just the way things are going, I'm just feeling less and less relevant to anything going on in the movements today. And of course, I'm still battling some back leg issues that have really consumed my attention this whole year and distracted me. And I was turned down for MRI for my back, so my physician could determine if they could give me a injection that would help this. I'm doing physical therapy, but that's not an overnight cure, and I'm not seeing drastic improvement. I'm seeing what might be little improvement, and I'll keep you posted on that, assuming I keep my YouTube account. Of course, the BitChute, I've already got a BitChute account, but I'm really not in sync with BitChute too well. I've actually got a pro Gab account, but I really haven't been able to stay on Gab, but who knows. I mean, they are basically for us to where we can interact with each other and preach to the choir. Doesn't expose us to everybody else, which is what needs to happen. And of course, I have argued that Pat Little is, for whatever reason, is doing this one-man army thing with a couple of people following him around, naming the Jew. And I guess everybody is supposed to start naming the Jew. Number one, not everybody can go out in public and make themselves look like an idiot. And you look like an idiot because what you're saying is not wrong, but because it's so out of tune with what the people you're talking to believe. And the question is, can you really change hearts and minds in an atmosphere where it's easy to get yelled down by irate Jews when they hear you speak? And of course, the cops are going to think the Jews are correct when the cop is brought in. This is why Patrick Little gets beaten up in his photographer, and the police don't do nothing because secretly the police think they earned it, the beat up. And there's been this whole thing where the police have supported the law-breaking left extremists that are their only obsession in life is to make sure the goy don't ever get into a situation they can rule themselves again like Hitler did with Germany in the 1930s. And I hope we continue to see each other here, but as I said, I'm a little bit up into the air how much I'm going to keep trying to post on YouTube because now I've only got 130 subscribers. I just lost 600 subscribers because of this. So my videos aren't seen by very many people. And so that's disheartening. And I don't have that magnetism that a Handsome Truth has, to where he's got everybody following everything he does, and so he can easily start a new account and everybody that was in his old account goes there. People begrudgingly have listened to me, and they've tended to be a racialist in nature, with a few of the more moderates blended in with that. And, I don't have any charisma. I'm over the hill. I'm part of the overhill gang. An evil baby boomer. Can't forget that. We are the cause of humanity's problems, the baby boomer generation. Don't forget that. Don't blame Jews. Blame the baby boomers. Okay? That's exactly what they want you to do. Another divide and conquer for Jewish power. And y'all take care.